So, this is the story of how a global empire got built. And it all started with a really shy kid from Oregon, what everyone called a crazy idea, and believe it or not, a station wagon just packed with shoes.
Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the stories behind big ideas. Our story today kicks off way back in 1962 with this really powerful lesson from a teacher, a lesson that would pretty much define a lifetime of chasing what seemed like an impossible dream.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to get inside the mind of a young Phil Knight. Now, this is a guy who, on paper, had it all figured out. He had a degree from Stanford, a resume that screamed adult, but on the inside, he felt like anything but.
I mean, think about it. He was an accomplished business school grad, an Army veteran, but he was restless. He was living back at home, sleeping in his childhood bed, literally surrounded by his old track ribbons. He was just searching for a purpose, a way to make his life actually mean something. And this drive, this deep-seated, intense fear of losing in the game of life, it led him right back to a paper he wrote at Stanford. It was this idea that had become a total obsession, one that just would not let him go. And this is so crucial. This wasn't just some business plan for him. For Knight, this was a way to feel what athletes feel. It was a way to turn play into work and work into play, and to chase a dream that felt, well, it felt worthy. And maybe most importantly, it felt fun. But, to turn this crazy idea into something real, he first needed his father's blessing. And yeah, he also needed his cash for a trip around the world. So after a little detour, surfing in Hawaii, of all things, he lands in Tokyo. He's all alone, but he is completely determined. He's about to walk into a meeting that could change everything or, send him right back to his parents' basement for good. And just like that, standing in front of this group of very serious executives at the Onitsuka Shoe Company in Kobe, they ask him his company's name, and he just blurts it out. Blue Ribbon Sports. It was born in a moment of pure adrenaline. You have to picture the drama here. He nervously gives his pitch, and he's met with just tense silence. Then the executives all get up and walk out of the room. He was absolutely sure he'd blown it. But they came back, and they were ready to talk business. So with a deal for samples in his pocket, he keeps going on his trip. And before he heads home, a visit to the Acropolis turns out to be pretty fateful. He finds himself standing right in front of the Temple of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. A little bit of foreshadowing, maybe? Back in Oregon, though, the dream just stalled. Months passed with no word from Japan, no shoes. Knight had to take this soul-crushing accounting job, probably fearing his whole idea was dead on arrival. Then, one day, a box finally shows up from Japan, and inside are 12 pairs of tiger shoes. He immediately sends 2 of those pairs to the one guy whose opinion mattered more than anyone's, his legendary and, frankly, kind of feared old track coach. And this just shows you the incredible contrast here. You've got Knight, the shy dreamer, and then you have Bill Bowerman. This guy wasn't just any coach, he was a master motivator and a relentless tinkerer. I mean, he was obsessed with shaving every possible ounce off a shoe to give his runners an edge. So a few days later, they meet for lunch, and Bowerman doesn't just approve of the shoes. He makes a proposal that absolutely shocks Knight to his core. He didn't just want to buy the shoes, he wanted in on the whole deal. They hammered out a partnership right there. And get this, Bowerman's own lawyer structured the deal to give Knight 51% and operating control. And just like that, they put in their first official order, $1,000 for 300 pairs of shoes. So with Bowerman's half of the money and a loan that his still very skeptical father guaranteed, Blue Ribbon Sports was officially in business. The next chapter was about to kick off. So the first shipment arrives, and it completely fills his childhood basement. So what does he do? He quits his respectable accounting job to become what his dad disapprovingly called a door-to-door shoe salesman. His sales strategy was actually genius in how simple it was. He didn't go to stores. He went straight to his customers. He'd show up at track meets all over the Pacific Northwest and sell shoes directly to runners, coaches, and fans right out of the trunk of his car. And what he found out was profound. He realized he wasn't really selling at all. He was just sharing a belief he held deep down, that running could make the world a better place, and that these were the shoes to do it in. And that kind of belief, well, it turned out to be infectious.
And the price for a pair of these revolutionary new shoes? As advertised on these little flyers he nailed up all over Portland, it was just $6.95. The business just exploded. The response was immediate, and it was driven purely by word of mouth. It got so busy that athletes were literally knocking on his parents' front door trying to get a pair of Tigers. By the 4th of July, he had sold out completely. Selling out was a massive triumph, for sure. But for Blue Ribbon Sports, this was just the first lap of a much, much longer race. This early part of the story, it really shows you that history isn't just a series of events, it's a long procession of crazy ideas. And it proves that sometimes the only advice you really need to follow is the advice Knight gave himself over and over: just don't stop.